Wait, I'm not in uniform. Hold on. Mucho mejor. Now I feel more myself. Okay, so I'm continuing my series on the best science fiction shows of all time, and I have to do another video on The Expanse, which is the greatest science fiction show of all time. Now, those of you who've been following this whole little series of mine, all three or four of you, you may be thinking to yourself, wait a second. You just did this as an excuse to talk about The Expanse a lot. Guilty, and you fell for it. But I really do have to do one more video to talk about the characters. I have not talked enough about the characters on this show, so I had to do one more for you. Let's start with Bobby Draper, one of my favorite characters from the books, and a great example of how the show just elevates the material from the novels, because Bobby was great in the books. Like I said, she was my favorite character in the books, but what they bring to the adaptation and the interpretation of her on the screen is great. They make some smart choices to ratchet up the tension in her story. They make her less of a grizzled veteran, a little bit more of a neophyte commander in the field, and just little smart choices like that. And then down the road, we get to see her grapple with the trauma of battle. We get to see her grapple with the changing cultural conditions in her home planet of Mars. I mean, it's just great stuff. And now the showrunners are not overly obsessed with making sure that the cast looks like the descriptions from the book, but I think they recognized that Bobby Draper's character was a real chance for representation for Polynesian actors, and so they did do an international casting call looking for the right actress to play this character, and they found Frankie Adams from New Zealand, and there could be no better Bobby. Not just, she embodies the physicality of the character so well, but also just brings just great a mix of humor and she's just great. That's what I'm trying to say. Another phenomenal casting job is Shori Agadashu as Undersecretary and then later General Secretary Avasarala, aka Queen of Earth. Again, a character whose importance in the story gets magnified. She's brought into season 1 where her character didn't even appear in the first book. One of the many, oh so many smart choices in the show and the way they adapted the book. She also has some great moments with Frankie Adams as Bobby Draper. One of my favorites is their first meeting, although they get a lot of screen time together and they just are awesome. Any episode where you get a lot of Avasarala and Bobby together is going to be a great episode. But their first meeting has what's my favorite line from the show. Yeah, believe it or not, it's not "I am that guy," it's this one.
Did you know that the majority of people on Earth don't have jobs? They don't work at all. They live on basic assistance, which the government provides.
I did know that.
You call them takers, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not that they're lazy, It's just that we can't give them enough opportunities. In this building, it's easy to forget.
With all due respect, madam, where are you going with this?
Wherever I goddamn like.
Another phenomenal member of the crew is Dominique Tipper as Naomi. Like I said, the showrunners didn't take great pains to make the characters look the way they're described in the book. That includes not CGIing or Gandalfing the Belter characters like Naomi to 2-meter heights. And Naomi looks here nothing like I pictured her in the book, and I don't give one rat's ass because Dominique Tipper just blows it out of the water. So many subtle smart things in her performance. One of my favorite is, she is a Belter, but working with inners, people from Earth and Mars. And so we see her jump between cultures, and one of the really smart things that Tipper was sure to include is code switching. So she subtly, and not so subtly, sometimes changes up how she's delivering lines and her accent even, based on who she's interacting with. So great job by her. Another member of the cast who's a huge upgrade from the books, Clarissa Mao was one of my least favorite characters in the books. But Nadine Nicole here just, again, elevates the source material. and really becomes a great character. Fun story about her, she told a story in an interview I saw about sitting around with this cast and looking at the diversity on this cast, specifically, the women in the cast, and just saying, most shows would only have room for one of us. And that's one of the things the creators really wanted to do, is show a future where we're all out there, where the whole human race has gone out there into space and become part of the future. So again, her performance is fantastic. But if we're going to talk about great performances that elevate the source material, we have to talk about Kara G. Holy crap. This is a small part. It was in the beginning. And her role in the books, the character's role in the books, was not that significant. But Kara G just came in, took the production by storm, and annexed the show. They joked at one point during the production that because they kept adding story arcs, her character would gobble up story arcs meant for other characters. And so the creators joked at one point that by season 6, it would just be Kara G playing all the parts on the show. Fantastic job. And again, great representation as she comes from a native background and is a fixture in Canadian TV and movies and stuff like that. She and her character are also the stars of the Expanse video game that's out from Telltale Games. They're the ones who did the Walking Dead games. If you like that sort of game, then check it out. I really don't. That's not my kind of gameplay style. I bought it anyway, of course, because it's the Expanse. Okay, I gave all the ladies on the cast so much love. I gotta pay some attention to the guys here. Wes Chatham does a fantastic job as Amos. Again, not who I would have pictured. I always pictured Amos as being just literally bigger, though he is definitely physically intimidating, especially when he's in character. And one of the cool things about Wes is that he really got the character. And this is from Ty Frank, one of the authors of the show, one of the authors of the books, and one of the producers on the show. They interviewed a lot of people, and a lot of people just thought that, audition, not interviewed. A lot of people just thought, oh, he's a tough guy. He's trying to be macho, and that's misunderstanding Amos. Amos is such a complex, layered character, and Wes got him. Again, couldn't ask for a better Amos. Finally, the actual main character of the show, James Holden. I honestly had a little bit of trouble with Stephen Straight's portrayal in the early seasons. I was so stuck on the book version of Holden, who really is a lot closer to like Mal from Firefly. And so he's much more serious in the early seasons of the show. And like I said, at first that kind of bothered me, but looking back at the whole arc, I think it makes him a much more compelling hero over the course of the show, as he develops into more and more of a leader, culminating in the 6th season. It also makes it stand out more and give us a little contrast when he does go into comic relief mode, which Strait does so well in this one story arc in season 3. So it took me some time to warm up to Straight's version of Holden, but again, it ends up being the perfect call. Running out of time to talk about more characters. There are lots of them. I could probably do a separate video just on, there's so many examples of like one-off characters. They're in one episode and you're just like, oh my God, this guy is perfect. But I better wrap up. I do need to mention great antagonists as well. Sean Doyle as Aaron Wright, Bern Gorman as Mercury, and of course Keon Alexander as Marco in the last seasons. Just the cast is phenomenal across the board. So many great performances. But I should probably end, now that I'm under a minute, talking about the future of The Expanse. Now, the show begins with a conflict between the Belters, Earth, and Mars, and the 6 seasons close that arc beautifully. And so the show is complete. But it does tease one big story thread that gets picked up in a last trilogy of novels set after a time break. So there is some hope for a future for The Expanse, that it'll come back as maybe a couple of movies, maybe another season, maybe 3 more seasons. But the way to ensure that happens, folks, go buy the Blu-ray set, available now.